Hi, I'm Denise, host of the Working Moms Redefined podcast. Let's join together as we lessen the hold of mom guilt in our lives, thrive in our careers, and raise great kids. You are doing enough. Let us boost your confidence today on this episode of the Working Moms Redefined podcast. Today is a very fun and animated conversation with a dear friend of mine and an expert in her field. With the Working Moms Redefined podcast, you know that we empower working moms to feel really great about their careers and raising good kids, while also an important factor that sometimes gets left out is being really proud and beautiful feeling when we look in the mirror of ourselves. The best lady to help you do that has taken time to sit with us. And although we are going to talk about ways to externally look even better than you already do, there's an internal side to any type of work that you do, whether it's an esthetician, whether it's a beautician, whatever that looks like, plastic surgery, you do you. And there's an element of confusion sometimes. Is this self-care? Is this maintenance? Is this something that I should be doing? Do I feel guilty about that? Is it going to be weird when I spread my legs for someone to get rid of hair? I mean, we just cover all sorts of thought processes, and not always do we ask the question. Well, lucky for you, we have the woman who is going to make you feel so very comfortable about never really having to ask the question now, because we're going to ask it for you. With that, I welcome Elena Holman, esthetician with Quincy Medical Group, to the Working Moms Redefined podcast. She has been an esthetician for 13 years and has the ultimate passion for helping all of us feel so good about ourselves. There is a level of belief in Elena that she truly believes it's so very important for working moms to take care of themselves, and she is one as well. She's been married to her husband, Cody, for 6 years, and they have one son, Jackson, who recently turned 1 year old. And so she is navigating all things working outside the home, working inside the home, and is excited to be with us today. Elena, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, it is so cool to see you. And if you are watching us on YouTube, you know when an esthetician is good, when you can look at their skin and look at them as a aura, if you will, and just see the beauty. And Elena is all of that and more. Her skin is absolutely gorgeous. Her hair usually has a bow in the back. She has just such a classy look to herself. And when you show up to get work done, we kind of totally give people credibility if they look as awesome as we wish that we could. And that is Elena to a T. So Elena, can you share where your passion really comes from in wanting to help women feel their best?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. My passion is very deep rooted. So I just love, helping women find confidence in themselves. We all have things that we don't love. Little things that we pick out in the mirror and we see them every day. So to be able to help address that and, um, you know, correct some of those concerns, it's a really good feeling. So
I've gotten to work with Elena for the past 2 years, and I have learned so many things while sitting in her chair. And it's funny, the more that you learn, the more you kind of want to do. And the very first time that I said, "Can you tell me some of what everything that you do?" my mind was blown, because I didn't know that, first of all, some of the stuff out there when it comes to work can actually be done on our bodies and our skins, and the benefits of that. So Elena, kind of share what all types of services you get to do and perform and offer as an esthetician.
so many fun things. There's a whole variety. We've got, chemical peels and hydrofacials, something as simple as extractions, laser resurfacing, laser hair removal, IPL to remove, brown spots and help with vessels. So a lot of fun services, which is part of the fun. There's a lot of variety.
When I first had an extraction, that's a fancy word for getting zits out of your face, guys, by the way, too. I remember the feeling, and Elena was so kind. I had really bad acne. And I would go in there with no makeup, and you would still make me feel like I was $1 million because one, I think you truly believe that all of your clients are. And yet also, this is just another normal day for you. And popping zits that have deep, as you said earlier, roots probably is kind of enjoyable for you. But what are some of your favorite services that you love to do and why?
Good question. I would say probably microneedling. That's one of my favorites. It's fun. It's fun to watch, and it's good for so many things, acne scarring and wrinkles and just the overall glow. Um, but I truly love the variety of it. I love every single service. And it's just really fun being able to tailor that to each person.
Mhm. We'll talk more about microneedling later because oftentimes people are like, Denise, what is it that you got? What is this? Or we'll talk and I'll be like, Elena, what is microneedling? Like, what? So we'll get into the definition of what some of these are later. But before we do that, and I love your take on this, Elena. I believe that the word self care sometimes is used as a crutch. Self care can look different for every person. And sometimes, as women, I believe that we put off self care because we feel as if it is selfish. Getting work done at a dermatology office or a plastic surgery office or wherever you might go is honestly a different level of maintenance. And mainstream media really kind of gives us the thought process of you really kind of have to earn the right to go to do this type of service. And as a woman, it's hard for me to spend money on myself. And yet, once you do it and see not only how it makes you look externally, but how it makes you feel when you look in the mirror, I don't know if it's really self care. And you agree with that because you have a different definition. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I truly believe that it is more of a maintenance than a self-care, because we need to take care of ourselves, and if we're not taking care of ourselves, then it's hard to pour into other people, especially our families as moms. So I think it's really important to stop and take time to make yourself feel better. And it is viewed a lot as self-care or a luxury, and I understand, cost-wise, sometimes it's not easy to set aside money for these things. But it is something that's very important, I think, to address those things that bother you and just to feel better, doing even a monthly facial or, even one or two treatments a year just to give you that boost that you need.
And you see results. We are in such a time where we like that instant gratification, and instant might not be, right the minute you leave, Elena, but it could be a few hours later or a couple days later. And sometimes that's what we need to get, quote, through a certain season of life. When I first came to Elena 2 years ago, like I mentioned, I had extensive acne that I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. My skincare is no longer working. I had gone to the dermatologist and they were like, I think chemical peels might be a really good idea for you. And I said, what the heck is a chemical peel? Sometimes when, as women, we do hard things, we do things scared, we do things with not a lot of information. And we don't always love not knowing everything. I'm a planner, much like Elena. And I would like to research and know what I'm getting myself into before. And yet, when your dermatologist is like, no, this is great, this will help you, go get a chemical peel, you can book right out there and go see Elena. So as I walk in to meet Elena with said chemical peel, you were so kind. We did like a consultation and you made me not feel bad again about my acne. And you said, let's take your before picture, right? And so we take this before picture and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what is this going to look like in 3 months? What's this going to look like in 6 months? What does that look like? And you really tailor a plan to the needs of the person, whether that is they want smoother skin, they want overall texture different, they want less redness, I wanted less zits. You tailor it to fit. And as Elena is so kindly laying me down, she preps me, and a chemical peel smells like peroxide. It just smells like alcohol getting smeared across your face. But I know that that's not the technical term. Elena, what is a chemical peel and what are its benefits?
You're so right, Denise. They smell terrible. So, they are awesome. There's lots of different chemical peels out there. So, Specifically, the one that we're talking about are the VI peels. There are a lot of different kinds, even in the VI peels, for different concerns, acne, anti-aging, helping to bleach stubborn pigmentation. So there's many things we can address with that. I love them for acne to help kind of dry up some of the active acne, but also with acne scarring and some of the pigmentation left behind. Melasma, a lot of women get melasma after pregnancy. They help a lot with that. So it is definitely a different service if you've never had one. We apply multiple layers. It smells very bad, but basically those help to exfoliate the skin. And we use different blends of acid depending on the concern, to help address different things. And typically there's about, 7 to 10 days of peeling. And that looks a little bit different for everyone. So some people have a little bit, some have a lot.
I had a peel a month or so ago, I think was my most recent one. And you had told me one time that your skin will peel as much as it needs to. And I appreciated that because I usually try to get 2 a year. And the one previously, I didn't peel that much. I was like, oh, my skin must be awesome. Yeah. And then you go back and you're like, ooh, let's do this stronger one. Your skin's built up to it. Let's do it. And then you peel for days. And I have, maybe I'll post it on the social. I have a video, and I sent this to Elena already, of my face started peeling while I was at my niece's let's see, baptism reception. And they were looking at me like, what's wrong with your face? And I would much rather have that fast. And so I have a video of the vent at home in the car, just like blowing on my skin.
Oh, if picking can lead to scarring, so definitely avoid that. Just let it be nasty for a few days. It's definitely not cute. It can be pretty big, heavy, flaking, or sometimes you peel like a snake. So definitely avoiding the peeling, or at least picking the peeling, and just kind of letting it be for a few days. It's most aggressive, I'd say, days 3 through 5. So just getting through those first few days is the worst part of it.
I will confirm days 3 through 5 are the most. And I have a photo of you and I when I had the orange chemical and it was doing its job, it was doing its work. But the very first time, and I love this story and I often share it, the very first time you and I met, we were talking and you were asking me what I was doing this weekend. And it was the Tuesday before the QMG Cancer Crush. And it was my first year emceeing along with Chad Douglas. And you stopped mid swipe. You were like halfway down my face and you were like, Denise, you're gonna be on stage. And I was like, yeah. She's like, do you understand what happens during a chemical peel? You said it so much kinder. And I said, yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And she's like, okay. So we continue through the chemical peel. Again, this is my first one. I don't know if I was just oblivious or I thought that I would be different. Neither of those things benefited me down the road. And by Friday, I was like rocking it. It wasn't peeling that much. Well, do the math. What did Elena just say? Days 3 and through 5 are the worst. Well, day 3 was the day of the event. And my face looked like a snake. And I use that story today in speeches that I give because I found myself looking down at my heels and I was embarrassed and I didn't want people to talk about it. I didn't have makeup on. Again, I still had really bad acne. All of these things that as women, we tell ourselves in our mind of ultimately like, I'm not worth putting my head up. And that is not true. And so when I found myself looking down at those red shoes I was wearing, it was my reminder to pop my head back up because I'm there. I have the confidence to do it. Well, and here soon they're going to shut the lights off anyway, and then nobody will see it. Well, again, did not think that through because who stands on the stage under the spotlight? The person with the chemical peel. And yet I was a walking billboard for Elena, and it was magical. You do see the benefits. And so chemical peels are a great place to start. If people are thinking, I don't even know where to go. Like, where do I even start? First of all, that's what happens during your consultation. And that's a really great place for you guys to discuss. But chemical peels are a nice way to first start. And then you might go into a different season of your life where we might not, as working moms, have a ton of time to shave our legs or other areas of our body parts. And you have a solution for that, whether that is waxing or laser hair removal. I got my first Brazilian. It was not done by Elena. It was very eye-opening. from where I got it and what we did, and it was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I've had two children. And I did it because my sister was going to have a child a few months later, and she was like, Denise, we should go get this done. And I cannot say no to my sister. And so as we go to get this done, I go first because she didn't. That was my first mistake. Second mistake was not going to Elena first. It was awful. It was awful. And yet I loved the benefits so much of getting that Brazilian, but like it was weird, right? You spread eagle, you are vulnerable to somebody you don't know. We're wondering if you're judging us. What goes through your head when you are giving waxes?
That is is a very good question. I think a lot of people have this question. And I would say, honestly, none of the things that you're probably thinking. I am totally no judgment, there's no judgment at all. So in my mind, I'm like, I want to help you feel more confident. So just getting you those results. But my ultimate goal, especially with waxing and like laser hair removal, I mean, you're feeling vulnerable. You're half naked and you're in front of somebody who maybe we just met. Maybe I've known you for a while. It's still uncomfortable. Either way, I think honestly, it's more uncomfortable for the people that know me because they're like, Elena, I can't do that. You're my neighbor. You're my friend. Yeah, but it's my ultimate goal is to make you feel comfortable. I don't want you to feel awkward. So we usually have really fun conversation. We have some music playing, just anything to make you feel more comfortable.
I remember going to get this, and I thought it would be a benefit more so for Jeremy because who doesn't love silky smooth skin anywhere? But really, it was a gift to myself, and I would never have guessed that, especially when it hurts. And I will tell you that my sister ended up getting a Brazilian from Elena, and she was like, Denise, this feels way better. This is how it's supposed to feel. And at this point, I was already down the road of laser, which we'll get to in a little bit, but it's ultimately like to be able to feel so good and sillily enough, not have to shave is truly amazing, or as often, I guess I should say. Because once you get a wax, you can really just not do anything until your next wax, right?
Oh, for sure. And I think, I mean, just the confidence that waxing brings out in women, that's my favorite thing about it. I love getting like a first time Brazilian client because they're just not sure what to expect. They're a little nervous about it. They're like, okay, I want to try it, but I think this is it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be uncomfortable. I don't know if I really want this. And then walking them watch out with the confidence, and they're like, yeah, I did that. I got waxed. I'm smooth. I've got the confidence back. It's a good feeling.
It is. I remember the first time. And like I almost would not have believed it. If I was hearing this for the first time and you're like, yeah, really, I'm going to get that much confidence from it. You seriously do. And you can do armpits, you can do legs, you have lots of waxing options, right?
Oh, yeah. Pretty much anything. And if you have hair there, we can probably wax it.
After several waxes, I'm a fiscally responsible girl, I like to think of. And after several waxes, I was like, and enough questions with you. I remember thinking to myself, I love this feeling, but if I want to keep this, I am going to have to keep paying to get this done every 6, 8 weeks. Nothing wrong with that. But if there is a more permanent option that ultimately will pay for itself comparatively, I'm going to look at that, which then enters the conversation of laser hair removal. Guys, ouch, first of all. And two, holy cow, this is awesome. This past year, so many of you guys knew, Jeremy and I went on our 10-year anniversary trip. And I literally texted Elena while I was there because we did beach yoga. And I, of course, was like all gung-ho about it. Let's go. Well, Jeremy was a little bit of a straggler. So we were, quote, late getting to the party. Do you think that the beach towels in the back were the ones open? Absolutely not. It was the ones straight up in front of everyone, closest to the teacher, because we live in a world where no one chooses the front row. And as we are doing downward dog with our butts facing all of those people, I had such confidence because I knew no hair was hanging out because of laser hair removal with you. it is so dang cool. Kind of walk me through, I guess, what happens and why you enjoy it so much with your clients.
Well, first of all, I love that story. Getting that message was hilarious, and I will never forget it. That's why I do what I do.
Right.
Um, but kind of walking through laser hair removal, it's actually a little bit easier process than a lot of people expect. So I like to be really honest with people. You hear the word laser, you think immediately like, oh my gosh, she's gonna burn my skin off. I'm gonna be fried. It's going to be terrible. Now, laser does hurt, but it's not quite that bad. So usually especially with like Brazilian laser, I like to make you feel more comfortable. So I give you a few minutes. I leave the room and let you, get ready for treatment. And I give you a little modesty cloth so you don't feel so exposed. And then when I come back in, we start by applying ultrasound gel and then work over the area. Brazilian takes me approximately, I'd say, 5 to 10 minutes of zapping. And the pain is so quick. It is a deeper pain, but so quick. So the fact that it's such a quick snap, makes it a lot more tolerable. And then it's like when you're ready to leave, it's really not too bad. It's only when the zapping is occurring, which again, 5, 10 minutes, for that area. But, legs take a little longer, of course. That's usually around an hour. But it's so nice because, laser is a series of sessions, usually 6 or more. And after that, the hair's gone for sometimes years. I have people who come back, sometimes once a year for a touch-up treatment. But a lot of times I don't see these people for years, which is I miss them, but it's nice to know that they're not having to have that worry. And they can go to the beach and do yoga and not worry about, do I have anything hanging out of my bikini? Did I shave good enough? Not having that concern.
How many times as moms do we look down at our legs? At least I did, and saw that razor burn. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody is looking at this. Everyone sees it. I have not had razor burn in a year. And I started doing this laser hair last August. And they have a deal at Quincy Medical Group too. So if you like buy 5 sessions, you get the sixth one free. So when you buy a package, it definitely benefits you. Some of us had to buy two, but nonetheless, it works. And in my mind, I did the math of how many Brazilians would I have to get, quote, to pay for laser. And it paid for itself in 3 years. And I thought, why would I not? Why would I not? And here's the thing about Elena. You might decide to be done with laser because it makes your hair go away, but you're going to love the experience so much. You're going to find other things to come back for. We'll talk about that later too. But I got the Brazilian and my armpits. I was shaving I would have 5 o'clock shadow in my armpits by noon. And you don't necessarily think about it in the winter, but like when you're wearing tank tops and you put your arms up and you see people's eyes dart to your armpits, you're like, oh, what's that look like? Well, now the only thing I have to worry about is if I forgot to shave for a couple months and there might be some little dark scragglers. And confidence is the ultimate underlying factor. And it's kind of a simple way to look at how can we incorporate confidence in our lives as working moms throughout. And getting layers or hair removal has really been a game changer for me in that aspect. And it can be done kind of easily. Like you said, 5 to 10 minutes. She's right. It doesn't hurt that bad. I'm exaggerating. All of us have had children. And it's like it's gone the minute that you leave. You're like, okay, I'm done. It's just so life giving. And you probably see a lot of transformations and just like pride coming from your clients when you do this.
Yeah, it's really exciting seeing like, sometimes they're very self-conscious in the beginning. Especially I have a lot of women and men actually, who I treat who have had like terrible folliculitis, or ingrown hairs or, different irritations in the areas where they're shaving. And laser hair removal prevents that because if we don't, if we get rid of the hair, then there's not all that irritation that comes along with it. So it's really exciting seeing the confidence just building with each appointment. And everyone gets so excited. So, getting that update each visit where it's like, oh my gosh, Elena, I had like 50% hair loss at our last visit. That is so exciting to hear. So it's an exciting process.
We like to joke, my sister and I, my dad is a very like traditional farming guy, like very strong, muscly, but also has lots of dark hair. And that was evident on me in places, not anymore. And that is to laser hair removal. So I will forever very much be appreciative of you and of that. If there was one thing that I wished I would have done sooner, it is this because of the impact so quickly and long term effect. After you start working through like other offerings or services that Elena has, then you get presented with this thing called microneedling. And at first, if you're me, you say, oh my gosh, I would never do that. What? Needles on your face? You have to numb my skin in order for me to do this? And then 2 years later, as I raise my hand, you now book a microneedling appointment for August of this year because I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. So tell our listeners, what is microneedling and what are the benefits of it?
Microneedling is a big favorite in the office. Like you said, microneedling sounds very scary because it's like needles in my face. That is a terrifying thought. But believe it or not, it's actually very comfortable. And I would even go as far as to say relaxing. So by the time we numb you, you come in, we use a topical numbing, let it sit on the skin for about 30 minutes. And then we cleanse the face and get started. So the device it kind of looks like a tattoo gun, but it's not. So it's a little pin that has about 12 needles on the end. And the needles are as fine as a strand of hair. So they're teeny, teeny, tiny. You can't even tell that they're needles when we're using them. So when using that on the face, those are causing like thousands of micro injuries that stimulate your collagen production, which in turn just helps with overall like plumping, firming, and rejuvenation. And sometimes more specifically, acne scarring or fine lines, sometimes hyperpigmentation. So it also addresses a wide range of things, just like chemical peels. But they're definitely good in their own ways, and sometimes in conjunction. So, yeah, it's a service that is very popular, and it's one of those that I think is really important for maintenance. So that is why it's also one of our top services. We have a lot of moms who come in who do this, a few times a year because maybe it's hard for you to get in monthly, but if you can maybe figure out 3 or 4 times in a year span that you could come in and do something just to keep your skin rejuvenated and give you that boost. Microneedling is a really good option for that.
You said chemical peels are 3 to 5. How much time should I allot after that to, I mean, for me, not book another speaking engagement, but for others, maybe say in-person meetings or something like that?
Yeah, the microneedling is actually very minimal with downtime. So that day you're pretty red. Next day kind of splotchy, and then the day after that you kind of dry up a little bit and you'll get some flaking. Some people get full blown peeling, so you never know. I mean, you might get a little bit more peeling. But usually it's just more of like a flaky dryness that you'll experience for a few days. So I wouldn't really even call it downtime. Because I'd still say you feel a lot more comfortable going in public after this than you do with a chemical peel.
Hey, progress. I just looked up to see when mine was to see like because I planned it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it on a Thursday afternoon, evening, and then Friday I'm gonna be with the kids, and then I'll head into the weekend. And so it's funny about how like we kind of need to think about that from time to time, or don't if you're like me and you're like, you know what? When Elena said something about like I step out and offer you privacy, I'm not kidding when I say every time I'm like, Elena, just stay in here. Like you're gonna see me in a second anyway. Just stay in here. No, no, no. You're so respectful and so kind. And I think that that is not always, not always do people feel as open, I guess, as literally as I do. But that shouldn't prevent you from doing these types of things if the budget allows. And I think for me, I just needed to be able to reason with myself and saying, okay, I'm going to trade this for this. I am going to choose this instead of this. And so for me, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm not going to go get that iced coffee. I'm going to save what might have been 3 iced coffees and put it towards the maintenance of my skin because I'm just not ready for Botox or fillers or anything like that yet. And notice that I said yet because you just never know. And the microneedling is a great way, as you explained, to produce that collagen to kind of get your own body to do the things that you're wanting it to do.
Absolutely. I'd say it's the most natural way to work on anti-aging because we're just basically, again, stimulating your own healing response so that you can keep your skin plump and firm. So that's why doing that on occasion, just to keep that collagen working and it's so good for a maintenance treatment.
I love freckles. I think that they are the cutest darn things. When it's summer and I get some on my nose and my cheeks, I just think I just revert back to a, 8-year-old little girl, be bopping around the farm. And my dad's always like, oh, you look so cute with your freckles. But apparently, freckles are sun damage most of the time, Elena.
Absolutely.
No, no. What? And there's a way for you to get rid of them and also hopefully prevent skin cancer with a service through you. Mind mind boggling. As you can see on Elena's skin, it is if you're looking and you're like, does she have a filter on? She does absolutely not have a filter. That's her porcelain like skin. And part of that is from the actual lasering of the skin, correct? Can you explain that?
Yes, there is another favorite service of mine called Lumeka. It's a form of IPL, which stands for Intense Pulse Light. So that's exactly what it is. It's intense snaps of light that target your pigment. I do this on myself probably twice a year because believe it or not, I am actually very freckly and I have rosacea. So it actually helps with both of these things. But what it does is it basically snaps the skin and targets that pigment, pulls it to the surface. So at first, the pigment looks about 20 times darker. So I have a lot of people call me the day after and they're like, oh my gosh, Elena, you have to promise me this is going to get better. It's terrible. So I'm like, you'll love me in a week. Just wait. So it takes about a week on the face and that pigment just disappears. So it pulls up, gets really dark, almost speckly like coffee grounds, and then disappears with absolutely zero downtime. So there's no, I mean, your skin's not raw, you're not scabbed, you can wear makeup, you can do all your same skincare, but it addresses those freckles and it'll see things that you and I can't. So it'll pull damage that is maybe not visible to us yet. And it'll also help address redness and it also stimulates collagen. So a lot of benefits there.
Do you get your face numbed for this one?
No, I wish. It's very snappy. So it's annoying. It's a very annoying treatment. So I like to talk you through this one. So we usually have also very good conversation. I've got to keep you distracted. It's not terrible, it's annoying. So the bright snaps of light, you see those. It's like somebody snapping a camera like directly on your face. So that bright flash kind of startles you. So you just kind of a little jumpy. And then right after you see the flash, you feel like a little flick. So it is a little, I'd say, startling more than anything. I really don't think the pain would be so bad if it wasn't for the flash, but it's just more of an annoyance.
My hands are flooded. And I think about sometimes I remember because I don't get it quite as much anymore, the Brazilian laser hair removal. I would find myself being like, oh, that was good job. Good job, Elena. Well done. Because I've had different people do it when you were out on maternity leave. And there is an art to what you do. And so, might I say, if you've done something before and you were like, this was terrible, I don't ever want to do it again, I promise you it is different with Elena. I promise you that. Now, I don't know if I will ever do this lasering. However, the benefits sound really nice. And one thing that I did not expect is growing up, and still to this day, farmers are in the sun a lot. And we are in a rural Midwest area. And both of my grandparents on the farm have had skin or spots removed that are or were cancerous. When you actually work with some of your farmer clients, it's so that that doesn't happen. That's so smart.
Yeah, I actually see a lot of farmers in their off season. So, come January, February, I have a regular group of farmers that typically come in for Lumecca to remove a lot of that sun damage. But then also we have laser resurfacing, and that's more of where it's a much deeper option. So that we can kind of definitely customize. There's some deeper treatments with that, and there's some more superficial. So, it doesn't have to be quite as scary, but the laser resurfacing is nice because it can really slow down any, spots that are concerning, or if you have maybe a precancerous lesion that we couldn't treat with something else, we can remove it with that. So it's a nice option for people who have had years of sun damage.
I am just picturing in my mind Farmer Donley, my dad, in your chair, getting this done. And I know that he would act like it is no big deal. And yet I wonder the pain tolerance. I bet I would feel, I mean, I would be in that room 100%. Dad, doesn't that hurt? Does it? And nope, nope, nope. Because they're so darn tough. And so is their skin. So no wonder it takes a laser to get some of it out. A concept that you and I spoke about that I didn't really consider, and yet I'm so glad that you did, is that as working moms in this season of life, probably our kids are under, the ages of 25, under the ages of 18, and there is not as much time for ourselves than maybe used to be or that will eventually be. And yet, a lot of your client base realizes that once their children get engaged, they are like, oh my goodness, I want to look awesome for their wedding. And then they start to get treatments. Not that it's too late by any means, but yet you explain that, hey, if you start doing little things now, you'll have to do less down the road and not have to jam it all in, right?
Absolutely, and honestly, keeping up and doing that maintenance, you maybe will have to do less aggressive things in the future as well. Just like the laser I talked about, just a minute ago, the laser resurfacing, we have a very aggressive treatment with that, and it's, I mean, 2-week downtime, raw skin oozing,
Cross.
and that's a lot of times what we have to do if there has been no maintenance treatments for years, and if you're like, "You know what? I feel like I need to catch up and, like, reverse the clock 10 years," um, that is our next option. So it's great, but, doing that maintenance throughout your life and, using good skincare, using your vitamin C and your retinol and your sunscreens and, coming in for microneedling, even just like I said, a few times a year makes a big, big difference. And truly, I have a few patients who have done that. I mean, long before I have seen them, they've just been great with their skin for years, and you can tell there's a big difference. And people who have done, simply kept a strong skincare routine for 20 plus years versus someone who's just getting started. But it's definitely never too late. But it's always a good thing to be on a good regimen and keep it as a normal maintenance in your routine.
If women are listening and thinking, okay, you've convinced me. First of all, I want to make it very clear that Elena is not commissioned based. She is not getting a cut of sales in regards to what she would suggest. And I think there is such value there because you are suggesting things for the person and their skin, not to benefit you or a company or a business. Now, I'm not saying that people in other areas don't or do that. But when you offer suggestions, it's purely based on what you think that person's skin needs. And I really appreciate that. It's very, very low pressure. What would you say is the best place for a woman who has been doing skincare? Let's just say, she does a vitamin C serum, maybe throws in some retinol, but realizes, oh, I mean, when you said earlier, like turn the clock back 10 years, the fact that you mentioned that, I was like, yeah, I want that. If they're in that place, where do they start with you? Where would you suggest that they start?
That's a great question. I'd say probably a consultation. So, a consultation is free, but we just go over a lot of great information. My first question in a consultation is, what is your concern? What is something that bothers you? Because I think that we all have little things that we see that others may not notice, but to us it's big.
Mhm.
So to directly address those things and give you a routine that's maybe tailored to help that, um, that's usually the first place we start. But then you can get a lot of good information about what is the service, what is going to best benefit me. Because truly, when you go online and you read about all of the different things that we offer, a lot of them start to sound alike, and you're like, well, this addresses collagen, but that does too. But they're completely different and help in different ways. So narrowing that down and like Denise said, I'm a very honest person. So I think that's why I have a lot of really great clients that some of them are close to me like family now, friends and family. And we've just grown really close because basically we have a trusted relationship now, and they know that I'm going to be honest with them and help lead them down the path. And sometimes honesty looks like, I don't think maybe that's a good option. So leading you where you should go and also maybe should not with treatment. So I try to always be very honest, and some people have a different budget too. So being upfront with me of like, here's what I'm kind of looking to spend, or here's what is going to be, what works for me. I can lead you to the best option that's going to be the most cost effective for your budget.
And sometimes you need to do something first to see it and feel it, to want to spend more or even again. And that is a great conversation to have because you're not scared about having that because you're so, so, so respectful. When, and I know that you love this part about your job, when people come in to get services from you, Elena, the service is really just what's happening when you're having such great conversation. As a professional and a working mom, what is something or a theme or a topic that you see us women often bringing up with you that's really vulnerable and raw that would help so many of us listening right now think, oh my gosh, I'm not alone?
But we have a lot of conversations like that in the treatment room. So there's a lot of different topics. I mean, we went through a rough time with infertility leading up to Jackson, my little miracle. But I had a lot of raw conversations with clients who even, helped me with just opening up about things like that, going through infertility in the past and, marital problems or things that just are very raw and real that we experience every day. There's a lot of different things that go on in our lives that maybe we don't want to talk about, but there's a lot of things that we end up talking about, and just to be able to be real and discuss things that aren't easy to talk about.
And knowing that it's okay and that you're not alone. And that being said, as a working mom, where do you find your heart being pulled the most into, discernment or frustration or sadness or even joy?
That's a good question. I think it's been really hard to balance. Just learning balance in a lot of different ways. Not just like work and home, but like family, spending time with aunts and uncles and cousins. And when you work and you have longer hours, and my husband has a different schedule that makes it a little bit more difficult. So things like that is just, I think as a mom, you're constantly learning. So learning how to balance and just new things that always pop up that you just have to be open to change and newness.
Mhm. Time is so valuable. And that is kind of what I just heard in your underlying theme of, how to allocate your time, how to best allocate your time to serve your family. And you do it so very well. And yet you want to make sure that you're doing it to the best of your ability. And I so admire that. I am so excited for those listening to maybe start this journey as to what it looks like in a more natural way to feel better about the way you look and the way you feel on the inside. I am firsthand going to tell you, you will feel and experience a difference. I promise. I promise. So, Elena, if they are wanting to learn about you, get a free consultation booked with you, how can they go about doing so?
You can find our cosmetic page on the Quincy Medical Group website. If you go to dermatology, there is a link for cosmetic dermatology, and there's a list of services offered. There's also be a link for our phone number so you can give us a call. We'd love to schedule an appointment. I think the consultations are very beneficial just so we can really go in depth about what these things entail and what's going to be best for you. So you can always give us a call. You can find me on Instagram. I'd be happy to answer any questions. But either way, reaching out even with a phone call, if it's easier for you to just ask a few questions before setting up a consult, that's fine as well.
And she genuinely means that. In the show notes, we have that direct link to the website so you can check out the services, see what Elena looks like if you're not watching us on YouTube, and take that next step in really setting up a maintenance schedule that down the road benefits you more than you can even imagine. Elena, thank you for spending time and educating us on these services. I am very excited for my microneedling appointment in August, while also kind of scared. And, in a year from now, we're going to look back and say, hey, Denise, remember that one time that you said you weren't going to do laser on your skin and now you just booked it? We will laugh. I cannot wait for you all to experience the gift that Elena is to both your heart and your skin. With that, we wrap up today's Working Moms Redefined podcast episode. Be sure to check us out online. And remember, you can do hard things. Thank you for listening to the Working Moms Redefined podcast. It is not lost on me that you chose to spend time together. Thank you. Let's connect outside of the space on socials. We'd love for you to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. We've got it all to connect with you. If you feel as if someone in your life could be impacted by this message, feel free to share it. That is the biggest compliment. As we part ways together, remember, you can do hard things.